wish to create a perfect human being, selecting the best organs from different corpses. Nosferatu, the medieval vampire in the remote regions of Transylvania.
5 innocent people killed, not a sign of a human.
It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder. In all cases, the killers are eating the flesh of the people they murder. Victims show evidence of having been partially devoured by their murderers. A fool can be killed by a shot in the head or a heavy blow to the skull. A fool can be killed by a shot in the head or a heavy blow.
Hello. I didn't hear you come in. Don't mind me, I was just brushing up on a little bit of reading. If you get a chance, give this book a read. It's pretty good. So, thank you for coming back to another episode of Answers to the Unknown. As you know, I'm your host, John. And last week we had talked about ghosts and children, and how children are more susceptible to spirits than most adults would be. This week I've gotten a lot of questions. One question is, they want to know about urban legends in Connecticut. So fine, I can do that. A lot of the work that I've done has actually led me to read a bunch of these urban legends, because, hey, that's where most of my investigating comes from. So, without any further ado, everybody sit back, relax, and let's dive on in. We grab the old book of answers here. Let's see what this has to say about some urban legends in Connecticut. So, first question we have is, what is an urban legend? Well, it's a very good question. So, an urban legend is a humorous or horrific story or a piece of information circulated as though it was true, especially one that involves someone vaguely related or known by the teller. Another question people want to know is, what are some urban legends in Connecticut? So here we go. There are actually quite a few urban legends in Connecticut, believe it or not. This town doesn't have a lot of crazy stories, or this state doesn't have a lot of crazy stories, but it definitely has a decent amount of spooky happenings and things that have happened. I've mentioned a few of them in my podcast. You'll actually notice some of them in here because I'll be reading some of them. And yeah, so without any further ado, here are the legends. So we're starting off with Downs Road. This one used to connect Bethany, Connecticut to Hamden, Connecticut. Now it's just a empty dirt road in the woods. Legends state that it's a breeding ground for a whole bunch of supernatural stuff. I mean, we're talking ghosts, shadows, monsters, cryptid-type monsters, UFOs, the whole shebang. This road allegedly has it all. So, crazy. I definitely want to check this place out already. Sightings have been reported for years on this road. I mean, even to this day, reportings have been happening about this place. If anybody attempts to go down there, they've always been ran out. Kids, adults, it doesn't matter. They've gone down, barely been able to make it down the entire road. And it's a pretty long road, but still. And as far as I know, I don't think you can drive down it. I think it's blocked off, but you can walk, take a bike, whatever down that road. But all have reported strange happenings. Even during the day, this road is just filled with way too much crazy, creepy stuff. To this day, nobody knows why. They haven't really figured out why this road has so much activity going on. So, go on. Walk the road. Walk it at night, if you dare. So the next one is Gardner Lake. This is out in Salem, Connecticut. Now, if that name sounds familiar to most of you, going, I swear I've heard you mention that name before. I have. I've mentioned it 1,000 times. Anytime I mention Hell House, which I've mentioned 1,000 times, I'm going to mention Salem, Connecticut. It's just the closest place to me that has given me phenomenal work throughout the years, so I definitely give that place a lot of credit. But yeah, that's where Hell House is at. PWP's famous Hell House. That's where it's located, is out there. But today we're talking about a different house. Today we're going to be talking about a house that is sitting at the bottom of Gardner Lake. That's right. So what happened is, back in 1895, there was a family that lived on Gardner's Lake, and they loved where they lived so much that they wanted to now move to the opposite side of the lake. except they wanted to bring their house. Entire house. They didn't want to rebuild it. They just wanted the house that they had to bring it with them. So they got a group of men. They end up uprooting the house with some horses, putting it on these like big rollers, and started rolling the house across the lake. So you can kind of guess where I'm going with this. Sun came up. It was a lot warmer than they thought it was going to be that day. Everything was going smooth until, boom, they had a patch of ice. Thin patch of ice. Back of the house starts falling in. Now the house is just sitting in the water. Not even really half submerged, just a little bit submerged. Just sitting there. Unable to get this thing out. They kind of knew that this was it. So in the next couple of days that passed, they kind of just went, got whatever belongings they could, which really wasn't much. And by 3 days, that house was completely submerged underwater. Where it now sits. Still sits this day. You can go scuba diving down there and probably swim through the entire place. Not really anything haunted happens over there, but people have reported hearing piano playing. Could it be some type of phantom music that they're hearing? Could it possibly be that maybe it's just the water is moving the keys of the piano and sound does work kind of weird that way, where it could possibly be being heard? We don't know. Or maybe people are just thinking they're hearing it because they know the story. We don't know. But it's an interesting one, so go ahead. Take a dive down there. See if you can see it. So this next one is, I want to say it's probably one of Connecticut's first Bigfoot encounters. We don't know if it was really a Bigfoot. There's another possibility of what it could have been. But we're just going to go ahead and for right now say it's a Bigfoot. But they called it the Winston Wildman. So this one I've mentioned, I believe, in episode 3 of Project Wolf Files. So this thing right here, this has been spotted throughout the course of 100 years, which makes me move more towards the Bigfoot era versus the crazy guy type era, just because of the time length. I mean, you got a 100-year span. The odds of you seeing a man who is probably, when he escaped, I don't know, maybe mid-20s, early 30s, the odds of you seeing him still out there running around naked, very, very, very unlikely. So this thing was seen quite a few times, running through the woods, scared the hell out of a lot of the town folk. They summed it up to it being possibly a man named Arthur Beckwith. So this dude escaped mental hospitals like clockwork all the time, always managed to escape. He just loved being outdoors, loved being completely naked, and he just wanted to live off the land. And from what reports say, he was also a very oddly hairy dude. So you can kind of see where maybe this naked, hair-covered guy, and there is that disease where like you grow hair everywhere, like all over your face and all that stuff. So maybe he had one of those. Maybe he had that thing going on for him, and he just seemed like this hairy creature when in reality he was just a regular man, just naked. We don't know for sure until it resurfaces, if it ever does resurface, and if it does, maybe we can get some good evidence of it. But until then, we literally just have some sightings that people have jotted down, and then the description of this guy and his known escaping abilities. So that's it's the Bigfoot one, which is always interesting. So then we have here, which I'm always big into witches, but we have right here a witch, the Wicked Witch of Monroe, to be perhaps, and her name is Hannah Cranna. Once again, another one you may have heard me mention. I mentioned her in one of the podcasts as well. Also, if you're doing any type of research about witchcraft in Connecticut, she's popping up, numero uno. She's like the big known witch of Connecticut. Very, very mean lady when she was alive, from what all the stories and reports have said. So she was a real person. You can actually go visit her grave, if you dare. I wouldn't. I'm kidding, I wouldn't. But according to folklore, man, she was a cruel woman when she was alive. She scared the hell out of all her neighbors, and she was accused of being a witch and casting a spell on her husband to make him walk off a cliff to kill himself. So she was pretty much like the most feared person within the entire town. Everybody would fear her, and she would always be trying to put curses on people. And it's also said she knew when she was going to die. She had this chicken that was always with her. When the chicken died, she said that she knew her time was coming to an end. And I believe 3 days after that, that's it. She croaked. She died. Even leaving a curse upon her and her home. So she pretty much said, hey, when I die, I don't want to be put in a wagon and taken. I want men from the town to carry me by hand up the hill to the cemetery. And when she died, everyone's like, I'm not doing that. So they literally loaded her up, started to move. Her body comes flying out of, her casket with her in it comes flying out of the back of the wagon, forcing the men to now stop, put her back in. The minute they got back settled in the wagon, out it went again. Her house immediately burst into flames. It was completely torched and on fire. And eventually the men just said, you know what, we're going to do with her wishes, and we are going to walk her up that hill and put her in the cemetery. And they did. And that's it. I mean, that's the story of her. Allegedly, her ghost is known to be haunting the location of where her house was, and also the cemetery. So, who knows for sure. But hey, I mean, I think she definitely has some type of weird witchy powers going on. That or it was a weird coincidence. I mean, so you think about it too. Maybe she didn't set the house on fire with a curse. Maybe she had some really heated people that just wanted some type of revenge. So, hey, maybe they just managed to torch the house. But, I don't know. All I can say is that if you go to her grave, try not to anger her. Because, who knows? You could end up a part of this legend. Yes. Well, the next legend we have out here is about cursed ground. A lot of curses. Gotta love curses. Back in the colonial days, people were getting cursed left and right. So a lot of these, I believe, stem from some type of curse happening. But this one is the Little People's Village. Really cool one. Allegedly, this man was starting to hear voices commanding him to go into the woods and build these little miniature homes for demons. So these little demon homes that this guy was out here building. The whole town thought he was completely crazy until some type of evidence came up that actually proved that he wasn't. And the funny thing is, I can't find that evidence at all. Any research I've done, it never says anything about what that evidence was. It just says that some evidence came up that made everybody else believe, oh, maybe this guy isn't crazy. Maybe there are really demons living in this little house. All we do know is this guy, let's see, it took him, I want to say, a year to do all the houses. And after that, when all the houses were done, he goes to the woods, where the village is, and hangs himself. Why? So weird. It's like these things commanded him to build this town for them, and then that's it. You know, no evidence. Type of crazy. Like, oh my god, insane. So, who knows for sure, like, what happened? Did he really hear demon voices? Are there really demons living in these little homes? A lot of people have gone there and reported weird things happening. Allegedly, they've seen his body hanging still in the tree at times. People have also seen him walking the property, or have heard really evil, demonic things within the little village. So, I mean, hey, I don't know. All I know is that I want to go there, and I'm going to check this out one day. But yeah, man, it's crazy. He's committed suicide right in that little village. So now this leads me to another place that's actually pretty crazy. And if you guys watch Ghost Adventures, I know you've heard about them coming here. But this is the Remington Arms Factory, and this is out in Bridgeport. Now, Bridgeport is already a very not nice place. If anybody in Connecticut's watching this show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Bridgeport is really not a good place to be. So already just a lot of bad juju in there. Now, it's funny. So is the town itself pumping out that bad juju, or is this place pumping out that bad juju, causing the rest of the town to be the way it is? Who knows? I mean, the drugs and murder rate over there are insane. So this is a Remington Arms Factory. For years, they've been trying to demolish this place. But every time they've tried it, it's failed. Nothing has worked. A lot of workers leave. A lot of the folks say that it's taken so long to destroy because people just don't want to be in or around the building. So much crazy stuff has happened that these people are just like, I want nothing to do with this. Workers have just been like, no way. Workers have almost been killed trying to demolish this place. So I can understand where they're like, no way. Like, I'm done working here. I'm done working in this environment. A lot of crazy stuff has been known to happen there. So this, with all the history of tragedy and everything else, a lot of brutal deaths, this place may just be home to a lot of angry and vengeful spirits. It really could, which would make a lot of what these people are witnessing and going through, make sense. Because you got a lot of just human souls that are now just angry and probably wondering why they're still here, what's going on. Maybe they know that they're dead and they're here and they're pissed off because now they're stuck in this, in their workplace, which who wants to spend the rest of their eternity at work? Like, who wants to do that? I know I sure as hell don't. It's crazy. Any visitor that goes there, they've reported strange sounds, odd lights, as well as voices, screams, yells. People have even been known to be attacked physically. People have left with bruises, scratches, bite marks on them. A lot of crazy stuff, like really, really bad. So, just thinking of it still makes me want to go check it out. So, do you have what it takes to go look inside? I don't know. I say I do, but who knows until you're actually face to face with something scary in there. We all say that we're brave, but when that time comes, how good is your fight and how good is your flight? So now, this is another fun one, guys, and anybody in Connecticut knows about this place too. So if you ever want to escape the heat in the summer, then this water park has it all. Rides, games, a lake, and a bunch of kick-ass water slides. That's right, it's also haunted though. So you could totally be swimming out there with a ghost, or the person water sliding next to you might not actually be there when you come out of the other end. Maybe the person on that roller coaster ride that was sitting next to you doesn't show up in the photo when you guys are coming down. Who knows? But I'm talking about lake compounds, guys. So this place, growing up in Connecticut, I've been a bunch of times. I'm sure a lot of people have been, but it's probably one of the best other water parks. You got Six Flags, but this place is a lot more water. Little bit of rides, but a lot more water. So a good way to go and escape that heat in the summertime. But it is also home to some tragedies. One being the biggest one in particular was a boy that had drowned in the lake. Lifeguard was supposed to be watching him. Lifeguard wasn't. He ended up drowning. And now his spirit has been known to haunt the lake and the property. People have actually reported seeing him out there drowning. And upon going to save him, he was not there. Only to reappear in another section of the lake, drowning again. So very, very, very weird stuff. So that tragedy has always been one, but people have also been knowing about all the other things that have happened. It's made this place a big hotspot for a lot of paranormal investigators all throughout Connecticut. Guests of the workers, they report seeing the boy drowning. They also have reported seeing things moving. Strange apparitions, spirits, like shadow figures running by. Whole bunch of crazy stuff at night. The only thing is no one's ever investigated this place. No one's ever got the permission to go in and do it. So we're going off of people who work there, but we don't know for a fact what's actually going on. I'd love to get in there though and find out one of these days. Lake compounds would be an awesome spot to go check out. So we have this other one. This one's interesting. I've never heard of this one before. But it's called the Circle of Life. And I'm not talking about the Lion King song. I'm talking about this bizarre structure. It's possibly a Stonehenge replica. Not too sure. It could also be just an innocent piece of art. But could also be some type of evil place for summoning some type of gods or doing some type of rituals. Because this place is it's bizarre for where it's at. But dude, while most people believe it's just a cool, installation piece in response to them rejecting the plan to do a observatory, a lot of other people think it deals with some other things. A lot of weird things have been known to happen over there. People's cell phone receptions seem to act up in this little spot, yet you're right next to a big city, so it's very strange for that to happen. People think a lot of otherworldly worship happens there, but yet, once again, really no solid proof of that has ever happened. There's just been a lot of stories, a lot of hearsay, but no one's actually ever witnessed anything firsthand in this place. Just the odd stories that come out of it. So I say, I'll go there with a Ouija board and see what I can get. I'm just kidding. Maybe not. So this one right here, this next one is a strange one. So this is Guntown Cemetery in Naugatuck. And this one is really probably the weirdest cemeteries ever, with a very weird story. And the rumor is, there's absolutely no rumors. This place freaks people out simply because it just seems to be haunted for no reason other than there's dead people inside of it. That's really about it. Yet some people have had encounters here. Some people have seen apparitions, have caught video of apparitions, have caught pictures of apparitions. People have caught EVPs with people like actually like saying their names of who they are, and when they've gone through the research and looked at the list of the people in the cemetery, they're not in there. So it's kind of odd. So it's like, are there unmarked graves that people don't know about, or is there some type of weird, I don't know, like spirit magnet that's just drawing other spirits to this place? Who knows? We don't. I know a couple of teams have gone there and have definitely caught some stuff, but just for the fact that it's really not haunted, but yet it is. Strange. Now this is another one you've heard me talk about a number of times on a list of cryptids that I definitely want to check out. This is the Melonheads. So these guys have always intrigued me. I mean, freaking big time, dude. We're talking about 4 foot tall, little spindly body dudes, big heads, allegedly cannibals. They've been known to attack you. People have gone down the road and have been attacked by a whole bunch of them. But so these dudes take place in Connecticut, a couple of different spots in Connecticut, and one place down south. But we're gonna stick them to the Connecticut right now. But they're from looking Shelton, Milford, and Trumbull. And it's weird because a lot of reports have happened about these things. A lot of reports, but yet no solid evidence. No visuals, no pictures, no videos, nothing. I think one video was kids sitting in a car and you could hear like rocks and things being thrown at the car. Like a lot of them too, not like playful little ticks. Like they were actually throwing rocks and the whole car was dented and messed up at the end. But these guys, man, they're so weird. So the legend says that they stem from a group of mental patients that set fire to a nearby asylum back in the day. Escaped, went off into the woods. Once again, living off of the land, but also mentally handicapped. They kind of reverted to cannibalism, also a lot of inbreeding. So decades of that going on. Now you've got Melonheads. Probably just, honestly, mutated humans that are just living out, probably some Hills of Eyes type of thing, you know what I mean, where they're just living out in the woods, just preying on hikers or whoever may go out there. They can just take them back. And there's allegedly a house out there too that people have tried to get to, but you can't, because the closer you get to, like, they're on guard, allegedly. I want to check this out. This has been like number one on my list of like cryptids to go investigate are these Melonheads, and I will get out there one day and I will definitely get some footage of these things. I'm gonna find the proof of them. Yeah, so like I said, they revert to inbreeding, cannibalism, and people have been known to be attacked on multiple occasions. So be careful if you go down there, guys, because you can end up a guest of honor for dinner. But yeah, no, definitely, guys, these guys seem pretty intense and I want to check them out. I want to get to them. So this next one was going to sound bizarre, but in the end we all kind of you'll know what this nasty little thing is. When I first read this story, just the name of it intrigued me. I was like, what is that? So I definitely have to look into this guy. Another one I talked about on, I think it was the first podcast I did. I might have talked about this for the first and second one, but this is the Glaucus. Very weird sounding name, I know that. So I thought this thing was going to be like a Bigfoot type creature. Turned out it wasn't. It was something that was attacking livestock, small chickens, small house cats, in a very brutal way. I mean, just ripping into them, ripping them apart. And it was probably one of the most brutal things that people saw back in that time. So this thing pretty much struck fear in the townsfolk for a long time until it just vanished without trace. So now we're going to jump up into 2021. We have a lot more knowledge of animal life and everything else now. We're doing the research on what people reported and how this thing acted. They determined it was a Fisher cat. Fisher cat, for those of you who don't know what a Fisher cat is, it's like a pretty big, picture a ferret about this long. I want to say, probably about the height of my chair on the ground. They're pretty big, all right? They're mean, nasty creatures, man. I mean, these things their hunting is insane. They hide up in trees, and they come down and get you right on the neck, and they got razor-sharp claws. That they're just nasty, mean things. And the sound they make, oh my God, the most blood-curdling, just screeching sound ever. Like, insane. So yeah, I can understand where that, if you heard that sound, came outside, saw the massacre of your animals or whatever, you're going to think this is something crazy. But honestly, in the end, it was only taking down small animals, nothing really too big. And the reports literally ended up being a Fisher cat. So this was the first reported ever Fisher cat that's ever been in Connecticut. We have a whole bunch of them now. I hear them all the time out in my woods, out by my house. And yeah, they're intimidating. They sound very intimidating. So, if anybody knows, there's also a cave system that runs through Connecticut to New York. They're known as the Leatherman Caves. This guy was an actual real guy. He's probably one of the most iconic stories, to the point where he's in Paranormal Talk and he's also in Cryptid Talk. A lot of people put him as a cryptid. Not too sure why. I think it's just because of how he acted. He didn't have a home. He literally lived his life traveling the same path, staying in these same caves. The townspeople would, when he passed through town, would give him food and drinks and, maybe some clothes and all that stuff. And he'd just keep all this stuff. And maybe in return, he'd bring back some stuff for them when he went to New York or other towns, whatever the case may be. But he was a known thing. Like, people could literally mark calendars by this guy, because that's just how on point he was with his traveling. So he ended up actually dying one winter out in the cave, froze to death. The townsfolk knew something was up when he hadn't come by yet, and they knew he should have been by already. Sent out a small party to go look for him. That's when they found him in one of the caves. So the story behind him is, when you go walk the trails in the Leatherman Cave, which you could still walk those trails from Connecticut all the way to New York now if you wanted to, he's known to haunt there. People have seen him hiking the trails with them. He's appeared in pictures with people on the trails. He is known to be in the caves that he used to stay in. They say he haunts all those. Really cool. I've never had a chance to check out the Leatherman Caves, but that's also another one that is on my list of places that I am so eager to get to and check out. Because guess what? I'd love to get me a nice piece of picture of some old Leatherman. That'd be good. So this one right here, I'm very intrigued on this one. There's a lot of stories that come out of this place, and there's another one similar to it up in Massachusetts when they talk about the Bridgewater Triangle. So this one here, we're talking about a black dog, or a black shuck, people have also been known to call him. So if you ever go hiking in this place, you better hope you don't ever come across a certain black dog. So this black dog, this is the black dog of Hanging Hills. Hanging Hills is a big hiking spot up in, I believe it's Milford, Connecticut. But this thing right here, if you see it, they say if you see it once, it's for joy. You see it a second time, it's for sorrow. But a third time, you don't ever want to see this thing a third time. If you see it a third time, it means death. And anybody who has seen this thing 3 times has met their demise shortly after. 2 men were out a few years, I want to say this is back in the 70s. 2 men were out there hiking. One of them had lived out there for a while and been hiking out there multiple times. His buddy recently came up, started doing some studying up there. He saw the dog. He told his friend about seeing the dog. He said, "Oh, I've seen the dog too." He goes back with the friend. The friend said he's seen the dog twice. So when he ends up going back up there for a third time with his friend, this is his second time seeing it. His friend's third time. His friend did not make it off that mountain, guys. Fell to his death right in front of him the minute he saw that dog. Rope snapped, rock fell, and that was it. He fell to his death. And even when he went down and went and got people from the neighboring town to come help, those guys who went and got them to go get the body said they too saw the dog standing over the body as they were walking up to go retrieve the body. Creepy stuff. I'm down for it. But like I said, if I go and I see that damn dog, I'm leaving, because I'm only seeing that thing once. I'm not seeing it twice, and I definitely don't plan on seeing that thing a third time. So, very interesting little dog. It's been said it leaves no marks, even in the snow. There's no tracks, there's no nothing. It'll be known to bark, but no sound. So you're seeing it but nothing's coming out. Very, 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 very odd. I mean, I know me, if I'm out there, I'm seeing a dog bark and hearing no sound, that right there is going to be my first indication of something's not right here. But hey, I mean, what do I know, man? All I know is that, like I said, if you go up there, be careful. Not only is it a very dangerous hike, but like I said, you see that dog, you better hope you don't see it 2 more times. So this next one, for me, or was new to me, as well as just like the Stonehenge one there. But this was the New Haven Green, which I never knew this before. I didn't ever think anything of it. I mean, I've seen this place on the news a bunch of times in the morning, but for those of you who don't know, the legend has it that they never moved the bodies from that place because it used to be a cemetery. Yeah. They literally uprooted the headstones because it was cheaper, put them to the new cemetery, said they put the bodies there, but allegedly they didn't. Allegedly that entire place, that park, is just sitting on top of dead people. So yeah, I mean, weird. I don't think anybody's really reported anything crazy, but I don't think anybody's really done an investigation in the park. I've never really seen any videos of people doing investigations there. So that would be an interesting one to go check out. Maybe try to do a little more research on that and see just how true that legend is. Because if that is true, dude, that's insane. So remember, if you ever are out there and you're playing ball, playing football, you're having a nice romantic picnic with your loved one, remember you could be doing that on top of a dead person. So this one right here, next one, this is coming in at number 2 of one of my favorite urban legend places. I talked about this one in my podcast as well. So if you like treasure and all that other stuff, this place is good for you. So my favorite right here is Charles Island. This place was cursed 3 times. Once by a Native American, then by Captain Kidd, he was running from authorities up the coast of New England. Allegedly, he's got a whole bunch of his treasure buried along the coast of New England, Charles Island being one of the places. So he allegedly put his treasure there. He cursed that as well too, saying anybody tries to take his treasure will meet, immediate death. That's number 2 for curses put upon this island. Then number 3, out in Mexico, an emperor got his treasure stolen. The people who stole it fled all the way up to here, where they ended up trying to just get rid of the riches. But he had cursed it that anybody, who took the treasure would meet death. Well, 4 guys stole it. 3 of them got sick with crazy illnesses and died. The last dude pretty much going, you know what? This has got to be real. He goes out to the island, goes to bury it, buries it, drops dead right there on the island. Maybe it was a heart attack from digging. Maybe that curse got him. I don't know. But now he buried that treasure with a curse on that island. That's curse number 3. So this place has been cursed. There used to be a monk chapel out there. The ruins of it are still there to this day. They couldn't maintain it because of all the stuff that was going on, and they brushed it off. They thought at first when they heard it, they're like, nah, it's just Native American folklore and early colonial myth and all that stuff. It's not real. But then they started to realize some things, and that was it. Nothing could stay on this island. People have tried to, I think a guy tried to build a restaurant, and that place completely just burnt up. Like nothing. Anytime anybody's ever tried to build something on this place, it just never works. It's all completely fenced off now. It's very hard to get to. Allegedly, it's patrolled. They made it a bird sanctuary. So, like, a whole bunch of crazy stuff to keep people out, which is just odd, because it is just an island. And if it was just an island, well, maybe what's with all the crazy secret, security? Why keep it so locked up? I'm going to get in touch with the right people one of these days, though. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do my investigation. Or I will eventually try to find my own way in, like I always do. But either way, I'm getting to that island. I'm going to figure out what's what on there. So we're coming to an end, folks. This is the last one, and certainly not least, but Big Papa of the urban legends in Connecticut. This goes down as the most scariest place in Connecticut, and it's Dudleytown. So the town of Dudley, also known as the Dudleytown Curse, is coming in at number 1. So this colony town was named after the Dudley family, who all met a gruesome demise, leaving behind a curse that plagued them, the land, and anybody else. I believe the remaining family too actually got plagued with this, and until recently, allegedly the plague or curse has subsided. But this curse had made it impossible to farm, impossible to build. No matter what you try to do, nothing would work. So eventually the townsfolk left, whoever was left, seeking better land. And to this day, there's nothing you still can't build on it. You still can't farm on it. It's just very unlivable land now. People report, there's no wildlife, no sounds of anything, no birds, no crickets, no frogs, nothing. It's dead silent when you go out there, which is weird because, dude, I've been in the woods 1,000 times. You're always hearing something. There's nothing. Complete silence. People have known to hear whispers, voices. People have actually gone mad because of the silence, but yet you're hearing these whispers and all this stuff. People have known to literally have vanished, gone missing in this place. It's completely off limits. Like, state police patrol this, and they will arrest you. Like, it's no joke. Like, some places you can talk your way out of it. Some way you can be like, all right, no, look, I'm doing this. And some authorities be like, whatever, just, get out of here. But, dude, this place, no way. You're caught there, that you're going to jail that night. Like, it's crazy. So this place is now owned by the Dark Forest Society. And they made this place completely off limits. And once again, they say there's absolutely nothing here. But dude, any type of story that comes out of this place, man, has been nuts. Nuts. So, like, Go if you want. I know I definitely want to try one of these days, but I know getting permission to do that is going to be pretty much impossible. So the last question we had, guys, is out of all of these, which ones are true? So for certain, Hannah Crana was true. The tale, I don't know, but herself, she was true. The Dudleys, they were real people. They actually died a gruesome, tragic death, and their settlement really did go downhill after that. After that, how far the curse goes, we don't really know. Once again, it's merely legend. I wouldn't know unless I went out there and got a chance to check it out for myself. But like I just said, that place is nearly impossible. The Leatherman, he was a real guy, did his thing. People have thought he'd been documented for like ever as being a real person. And the Glaucus, we know about the Glaucus. That was a real thing. It just wasn't what they thought it was. It turned out to be an actual real animal. And then Lake Compound. That was an actual tragedy that did happen. A boy did die at Lake Compound from a drowning because the lifeguard was not paying attention. So that's where that story stems from. So once again, no one's ever investigated there. We're going off of merely hearsay. But who knows? Maybe it could be true. Maybe it could just be a bunch of baloney. We don't know. Well, guys, this concludes this week's episodes of Answers to the Unknown. Until next time, Wolfpack, keep it spooky.